Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston, and thank you for joining me for this weekly I Ching episode, the last one for May, for the week commencing the 29th of May, 2023. Of course, that means tapping into a little bit of June. Can you believe it? June. Oh, that is so crazy. Okay, so let's just cast our minds back to last week. We had Hexagram 13 Fellowship. Okay. And this hexagram was all about harmonizing with others, working productively with others, collaborating with others, and rushing in to solve disharmony if we see it, okay? Creating harmony where there is disharmony in the collective, in the collab, okay? Working productively with others around a focused, shared goal. For you, what was the insight that came up? For me, it was really interesting that in last week, there was a whole process of working through with a partner from a business point of view of working through the terms of our agreement. And I thought, how weird. It's Hexagram 13 Fellowship right in this week. And that's how it works. I think my husband's tired of me saying, oh, that's so weird, because I'm saying it all the time. And hopefully for you, there was something interesting around fellowship that came up for you. And you thought, oh, that's so weird. Okay, just like I did. So this week, our last week, let's see what the I Ching is asking us to pay attention to. Our first hexagram is hexagram 25, innocence, the unexpected, disentangling. And before I get into this hexagram, I want to share with you some really exciting news. For a long time, I have been wanting to create hexagram-specific content for you. So an episode dedicated just to one hexagram and its changing lines. No weekly information, right? Just the hexagram in a way that you can work with it and interpret it. You know, when you've cast the coins and you get the hexagram, you can go to the episode, you can scroll through to, the changing line you want to touch in on, and everything is in one place, the entire hexagram, geared towards helping you interpret your own work with the I Ching. And I'm so excited that the first one is ready. Okay, there are 64 to do. So you can imagine this is a massive undertaking. And it's only been until now that I've had some space and I've had a dedicated space where I could work and do this. So this hexagram 25 is the first one, the full episode that's up. And I'm going to include a link that you can go and check it out. And please let me know your thoughts and if it's valuable for you in working practically with the I Ching. So that's my big, exciting announcement. So hexagram 25, all right. We talk in this hexagram about this idea of becoming conscious of the traps of the mind, okay? The traps of convoluted emotional feelings and thinking, okay? And what this hexagram tries to do is it tries to liberate us and give us an opportunity to become conscious of those traps and to disentangle from them. Now, the traps can be on many different levels. So you've got to cast your mind to think in this week as you work with this hexagram, what are these traps that are coming to bring themselves to you, right? They might be rules you've created for yourself. Okay, I'll never do this, or I'll always do that, or only when that happens, I'll do that. Okay, we create these rules. And those rules tend to sit around, right? They sit and they entrench and they deepen, okay? And we get more fixed. Even when the whole world has moved on and the data has moved on and that situation is no longer relevant, we still hold on to the rules, okay? Old injuries that we perpetuate because we are not willing to change. Well, this hexagram says disentangle from those stuck belief systems, okay? So there can be our own belief systems, our own internal rules, our own convoluting thinking. I mean, we all have illusions and delusions, things that we've come up with and have embedded over time that may or may not still be even valid, okay, or real or truthful. And this hexagram is asking us to pay attention to those. Disentangling can also be disentangling from complexity, okay, consciously choosing to keep things simple and stepping out of other people's complexity, okay? So this week, we really are being tuned into the complexity around us and how we can unravel from it, how we can free ourselves up, because this week, something comes to help us move along, to move forward. And if we are too tied up in our old thinking, okay, too caught up in the moment, we can lose the opportunity to act, to not see and not be able to act because we are tied up in too many other ways. Okay, so be open. Be open to the unexpected. Be open to the spontaneous arrival of something. If there's a spontaneous, unexpected event that comes up in your life and you would like to do it, and you've got a rule in your mind saying, I can't, I'm too busy, I've got work to do. Maybe this is the week you could just say yes to that, and take a leap. Go for it. If a friend wants to take you to movies all of a sudden, go for movies, go out, okay, even if it's a weeknight. I'm just using those as examples to help us understand how we could perhaps free ourselves up from the constraints we put in place. The rules, okay, go out late. Yes, you will feel tired the next day, but what fun it will be. Okay, just be open to what comes to you this week. Now, we do have 2 changing lines in the first position and in the second position. The first changing line is almost really asking us to be innocent and open, okay, to really embrace being open to the unexpected and allowing that to manifest for us and to take action, okay. So it's not just sitting there and saying, I'm open. It's innocent, disentangled action, okay, being focused and simple action, moving the project forward, okay. So we've been given permission to take action. The action brings return, but it must be simple, open, innocent action, not convoluted, complex, tied up in all kinds of strings, okay. Simple, innocent action wins the day. And then in the second position, we had this changing line back in April. So last month, we had this changing line where I spoke to you about that favorite saying of mine, there's a season to sow and there's a season to reap, and you don't do both in the same season. Well, that changing line, it's back in the second position. And it talks about this idea of when we are plowing and preparing the fields, it would be kind of weird to say, well, I'm going to harvest now straight away. That's not how it works. So there's something around the preparation process of we're preparing and we're planting and we're getting the seeds into the ground, but it's not harvesting yet, okay? We might have had an unexpected success or something, manifest and move forward. That's great. It's not the time to action, the forward progression. It's the time to dedicate to the planting and the sowing and the preparation, okay? And so there's something around this process of having unrealistic expectations, okay? Remember, this hexagram is the unexpected. So we might have had an unexpected success, but we mustn't have expectations of harvesting when we're only just getting the seeds into the ground. Just give the moment what it needs, okay? So that is our hexagram 25, innocence, changing lines in the first position and in the second position. Where does it lead? What is the second flow of change we are working with this week that is drawing our attention to our development and our path? And we have a return of hexagram 6, conflict. You'll remember from a few weeks ago, it was the first time we ever had this hexagram on the channel after 4 years, okay? And so here it is, again, is our second hexagram. It comes to bring our attention to a conflict situation and how to deal with it. And this hexagram in particular says, you have to be heard. You have to say what's true to you and have your side of the story told. But what you are not being, what you're being warned about is trying to win at all costs, okay? The 2 bison I spoke about, okay, bashing against each other, the onslaught of conflict, of fighting, of disagreement. Diffuse the tension, diffuse the conflict, de-escalate the war, okay? So what that means for us, what we're being asked to pay attention to, is to be aware of where there is a conflict situation and how we can diffuse that, how we can use dialogue, be heard, but use dialogue and find creative solutions of shifting the situation, that it isn't about fighting on this front, but maybe there's a new way that we can shift the conflict and step out of the conflict and get an outcome. In the week that we had that in April, there was an issue that came up for me where I became aware of how I wanted to deal with a situation where a client refused to pay a bill. And that was a conflict situation that's been sitting around for a very long time, okay? And so it was so amazing to me that it's not necessarily that in the week that you get this hexagram, okay, that there's going to be a fight, okay, put your gloves on. It doesn't mean that. It just means that where there is conflict, where there is a situation of conflict, it bubbles up to get your attention, okay? So it might not be that you land up in a fight with somebody, okay? It might be that you're mediating for other people around you. Might not be about you, but about a situation. Either which way, pay attention to what wells up out of that quantum soup for your attention, okay? Because the conflict needs to be resolved, not by escalating, but by de-escalating the drama. Okay, you can do it. All right, please like and share if this was meaningful to you, of course, and subscribe, follow if you are new to the channel or podcast. And as it is our last weekly for May, that means that pretty soon there's going to be a June monthly episode. Pay attention to the last few strokes of time in May, where we had hexagram 63 after completion. Finish it well. Finish the finishing. Use this energy to finish things, to tick things off your list that have been sitting there for the longest time. Go for it. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.